Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the React Universe on Air, brought to you by Callstack, a total software engineering consultancy. And today we are talking about something exciting, something a little bit from the future, but we realize that the future is now. So let's see what we've learned. We're going to talk about implementing chatbot because here in Callstack, this guy, together with the other guy, created something cool, and he's gonna talk about it.
Yes, I will try to. Hi, my name is Kewin. I work in R&D Department. We work with AI, so it's not just a regular chatbot. It's a chatbot supported by AI engine, currently with OpenAI, as is custom, I guess. But we'll dive more into why we chose ChatGPT, why we chose OpenAI, the reasons behind it, and other options. Like, there will be a lot to talk about. So
exactly. So let's start. Let's start soft. Let's start with the soft stuff. So, what's the name of the chatbot?
Cassandra. Completely random and kind of by accident, because when we were coming up with the idea, I took the Callstack C and S, Callstack, and I was thinking, what would be the name fitting those letters? So CS,
Counter-Strike.
Anten-Strakanda, but it didn't have the bytes, so it went with Cassandra. Then we jumped onto some generating software to generate nice avatar for her, and that's how she was born.
So you used AI to generate the avatar?
Yes.
Is Cassandra capable of generating images nowadays?
Currently not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, because we didn't think that it's a really necessary feature, like company wise.
Yeah, I see. But then she could generate her own avatar. That would be cool.
One day, sure, why not? But for now, it's just, we're trying to implement everything with the priority of features, and generating images. Well, we didn't think it's such a necessary looking from company perspective.
We'll get there. All right. So Cassandra, short Cass, really cool. I like this one. But basically, let me introduce you to what Cassandra is from like a user perspective, right? So that our listeners know what the hell we're talking about, because this is not just, chatbot that you say hi and it responds, hi, I'm fine. It's a little bit more. So Cassandra at its beginning, in like its beta version, or maybe even alpha, I remember, it was, well, first of all, it was available on Slack as like an app, right? So you can chat with Cassandra directly. It allows you to create prompts as ChatGPT does, and it's trying to reply with the best answer possible. And additionally, you've started to create those kind of commands that kind of help you either like format the message or give it a nice vibe that you want, stuff like that. So as a user, basically you can use it as ChatGPT with extras. It has some company knowledge, not all of the company stuff she knows, but most of it that is available in our Notion database, like knowledge base. So you can ask about employees, you can ask about projects, stuff like that, which is very helpful on an everyday basis, because when the company is growing, it happens that you start to forget who is responsible for what, who should I ask for a holiday, who should I ask for anything. So
not to mention HR department being flooded with the same question over and over again, by asked by different persons.
Yeah, exactly. And Cassandra is like, yeah, sure, I give you an answer. Why not?
Yeah.
So that's like a very high level overview with very little potential explained. So Dennis, Kevin, why did you even come up with this idea? Like, why we are not stuck to ChatGPT? Why did you have to create your own chatbot?
So at the beginning, we were figuring out a couple of different implementations for AI and how to use it for company. And ChatGPT was already a thing. So we started thinking about, what would be the best way to support people working in Callstack? What would be the best way for, providing some nice value for the company? And we landed at creating chat assistant. And actually that's how it started. We just wanted to provide some value to make everyone's lives easier, to simplify asking for information, to release some burden from HR department and stuff like that.
Okay, but sorry to interrupt. But again, why not just ChatGPT?
We wanted to also be able to ask more company-related questions, to provide some company-related information, to be, like for instance, if you ask ChatGPT about code to our office, well, ChatGPT will have no idea.
Yeah.
If you'd like to ask about some, coworkers' Twitter handle, or where should I send my invoice, or it's stuff related to our company, let's say, and that's why we came up with the idea for chat assistant. And in terms of why it's Slack, well, it's because we are using Slack internally.
Exactly.
If we would be using Discord, we would go for Discord, chatbot. If we would be using Teams, we would have to change the idea because I don't like Teams.
Just delete.
Yeah. We will be using ChatGPT then.
No offense, Microsoft, but come on.
That's how I say. Yeah, I'm not it's hard communicator to work with. And I'm not even sure if they have any API. Anyways, we landed on Slack. So at first, we didn't think that we'll go with OpenAI. At first, we were just playing around with Llama and other, like not Midjourney, Mixtral.
What are these, like Llama and Mixtral?
So these are smaller models that you are able to run locally. They have around like 8 billion parameters, should be like quite powerful, and you should be able to run it on higher edge software, hardware, sorry. But yeah, so we were playing around with those models. We even like had a dedicated laptop we were playing around with pretty nice graphics card to run all the calculations and inference on the model.
There's one guy in the office sitting with 2 laptops being like, why can't you just get another monitor?
What's wrong with me? Because this is Cassandra. That's her workplace, her lab. That's where she works. And so yeah, at the beginning we started with a laptop that was running Llama CPP. So that's that's kind of like quickly hacked implementation to run inference locally. That turned into a bigger project handling multiple different models. So like yeah. So we were running that. We separately ran Slack platform to integrate with our Slack, and it was such a fun experience to be able to finally write with the chatbot responding from the computer. It was like, oh, I brought her to life. That she's alive now. She works here,
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, and we were like, that's perfect. Like we have a chatbot, amazing. But that's when we started hitting some issues. Like one of the biggest issues was
she was having attitude.
No, it was actually performance. She wasn't really performant.
All right.
So not only she was responding quite slow, but we would be even fine with that. But the bigger problem was that at that point, the Llama CPP was not handling the asynchronous responses really well. So it would be like standing in a queue for assistance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You mean like queues from different users at the same?
Yes, I asked.
Okay.
Like if 5 people would ask a question, she wouldn't be able to start generating responses for them asynchronously.
Yeah.
It would be waiting in line to get to Cassandra. And this was a huge no-no from us. So yeah, at the end of the day, we didn't really have performant solution with asynchronous replies and powerful enough laptop, plus actually having laptop constant, like powered up and running. So we had to figure out a different solution for provider. So there were basically 3 options, and I guess currently it's still 3 options for everyone. It's either running LLM locally. It might be hosting your own LLM on some cloud platform, or using external provider. So we went through all of these, trying them out, figuring cons and pros and costs and everything. And we had a couple of pretty nice findings from that. First of all, running your own hosted model locally, it's of course security-wise, it's perfect. Kind of, because you are still responsible for hosting that, for securing that, for powering it, for a lot of stuff. It's all manual work, and we didn't really have a huge know-how about running the software. So and also our department was quite young at this moment, and I didn't really feel comfortable going to higher management and being like, yo, we want like 20,000 to buy hardware to run our chat.
No problem.
And if they would be even no problem, will this be enough? I would be like, I have no clue. I think it should be enough to run the model, but will be enough to power whole company? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we decided, let's forget this part. So maybe some cloud provider. So we went with running some computing in the cloud and our own hosted platform. But at the end of the day, it had similar issues as hardware.
Oh, really? Like,
Yeah.
You mean the performance issues?
Yes, because it would still be hosting something locally, like Llama, CPP, or any other thing. We still didn't really have know-how and a lot of different issues. Also, this would be even worse for us because running this in cloud would mean we would have to be more focused on securing this,
legal stuff,
and providing, endpoints, securing it, updating it. So we would need to be hardware specialists and security specialists, admins and LLM specialists, like a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we thought that it's viable option, of course, but we went with external provider. That's when we started comparing cons, pros, costs, and security. And at the end of the day, back then, OpenAI and ChatGPT seemed the most mature solution with best ISO conforming, certificates and security validations and all of those, security diplomas, everything. They had everything. So we had to just plug in and figure out how to use that. And that's why we chose OpenAI and ChatGPT. So I know that for some people this might sound discouraging because you might think, oh, so it's just an endpoint for ChatGPT.
Not just.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Yes, we'll get there. But I'm gonna be honest. At the beginning, I thought exactly the same. I was really undermining myself, thinking, oh, so we are just hitting another endpoint. So we are not working with AI. We are just pushing forward requests, right? So huge assistant. But this was just the beginning, and we had a lot more to implement. So yeah, that was the beginning of our Cassandra.
And that sounds really interesting from the point of view of person who don't really work with AI. It's like, oh, that's accessible,
Yeah.
But at the same time, because it might not be so obvious, because Kevin here is a guy responsible for AI department in Callstack, but not many knows how you started this journey, because you were not AI engineer before. He was not, and you suddenly became one. You wanna give us a little story about that? How this happened?
Actually, for me, it's such a cool approach from Callstack and from our company, because I was working as a developer for a client, and then AI was something that always kind of interested me, But everyone I spoke with, they said that, oh, you'll be going going through data sets and statistics and preparing models to like analysis.
Boring.
Exactly, boring stuff.
Yeah.
And then ChatGPT happened, and I was like, oh my, you can really actually talk with computer, and it's responding, and it feels alive.
Yeah.
So many, theories like, is it alive? I don't know. Maybe it's just computing, but does it have a soul?
Somebody sits there and just replies.
Exactly.
Like there was this sketch about the guy from Google who's like giving you hints.
Yeah. Maybe that's just ChatGPT actually, like a lot of specialists in one room.
Exactly, man. It's a lot of coffee, like a call centers, just filled with people.
So that's when I understood, oh my, so many options, and AI started popping up at every front, like graphics and audio and video and everywhere. And this completely changed how I looked at technology, because for me, AI and machine learning and this technology is like our technological magic. It's like literally magic.
Boom, happens, right?
Exactly. So I always told myself that, oh, we are living in such a kind of boring world in terms of, comparing to fantasy. And I always said, if I would be living in Harry Potter world, I would be learning magic every day. I would be like swiping this wand every day.
That's the coolest thing there is.
Exactly. Right? And now we have this magic, but it's technological magic, but it's magic.
Yeah.
And I would be making a disservice towards myself, not learning this every day.
Okay.
So once this huge hype happened, I dove into books.
When was that? Like how many years ago?
1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, when I started learning. So I just like every day, starting from how those like LLMs work. But once I understood that it's hard to understand, I had to take a step back and step back and step back.
Yeah. The more you know, right?
Exactly. So like 4 months later, I'm learning basically math. So I went back to math.
Gosh.
I was literally doing 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, now let's explain why. And then I grew, like, I started learning back and more and more and more. So I went to the calculus, to linear algebra, to understand embeddings and to understand how it works and backpropagation and all of that.
Hey, look, like 2 coffee talks ago, we were talking about 3D graphics. Maybe you would be into that as well.
I am. I actually am.
He actually is. I forgot that.
Like I started learning Blender when I was 18, I think.
So there you go. All this knowledge was just there to help you. AI.
AI like my AI interest composed a lot of my previous interests. So yeah, I had to grow my knowledge from the ground up. And after some time, Callstack was like, oh, we are trying to start up AI research in our R&D department, and we are looking for people interested in that. So once I heard about it, I was like, okay, so I know that I'm diving deep into AI, so I need to like drive even harder now. Get this position.
I see.
And after a couple of months of learning even harder and even more and providing some internal talks about stable diffusion or how LLMs work.
I remember these. I was watching them.
I got the position. Nice. And I'm still to this day, I look at this is the biggest opportunity I ever got. And doesn't matter if I'm sometimes super tired or sometimes I feel overwhelmed with the amount of topics we have to learn and keep track of. It's still a huge amazing opportunity that I'm grateful for. Awesome. I've never previously worked in a company that would be like, oh, you seemed very interested in the topic. Let us switch your position to researching that full time.
Yeah, to adapt to your interests.
It's
actually
so amazing. I will, like, for me, it's such a huge what's the word?
Appreciation. I don't know.
Giving a benefit of the doubt. Like they gave me
the credit. They trusted you.
Yes,
simply.
it's they gave me so much trust and so much responsibility. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful for that, and I'm trying every day to like to turn from like to be an investment, to just turn into investment, because if you are an investment or just a place,
Just the resource.
yeah. So yeah, that's my background.
Awesome. So to everyone watching this, you don't have to have an AI background to get into AI, but you need passion
And
right?
a great company
Yeah.
to work with and for. So yeah, it's not easy like
Awesome.
nowadays, but yeah, in those terms, Callstack is such an amazing place to actually be able to like switch your career path suddenly and work on your passion. So yeah, in my opinion, Callstack is the best place for passionate people who want to. A company will help you.
Yeah. Callstack sponsor us. Oh wait. All right. Awesome. So that was the Kewin story behind AI, and the little story behind Cassandra, how it became. So let's now go deeper into the AI stuff, because this is what we are here for. So, you mentioned that you launched Llama CPP on laptop. You mentioned other stuff that you did to make it work. What about tools that you are using for this whole process? Like, was there anything significant that was very helpful for you in terms of tools that you're using? I don't know, for debugging or maybe some other infrastructure issues.
Not really.
Not really.
Not
So
really.
just standard stuff that developers use.
Standard stuff that developers use, because it's such a young industry. Like, all of the AI stuff is so young and immature that it's hard to find a good tool. I mean, maybe now it's a different story, but at the beginning, like, there was once a situation where I was debugging and trying to understand how the information flow and how the messages go. So I was just writing, test and trying to get the response from Cass. And then suddenly I saw in response test. I was like, wait, there's like one message too much. Like, why is it? I spent like half a day debugging this, and it turned out that Cass was receiving like my message test, mocked message test, and she was just responding with tests. So this was the first time, like, it felt so organic. I've
Nice.
never worked with software that at the end of the day was just trolling me, because she was just trolling me at this point. So there were so many situations, but like working with language models is sometimes so unpredictable and exciting. It's like actually working with a stubborn piece of software that sometimes it's moody, sometimes it works in a weird way. And depending on the system prompt or on so many factors, it might behave differently.
Okay.
So,
but testing is very interesting topic regarding AI and chatbots, because it's like you are not 100% able to predict the outcome or like what the answer should be. So it's not as easy as writing unit tests like, oh, this is the expected, and check if it's equal. So that's very interesting. How do you even debug, I don't know, neural networks and stuff like I don't know. Maybe there are simple ways, but I just don't know.
The problem here is that just as with writing regular software, you are usually not writing unit tests or any other tests for external libraries.
I thought you're gonna end there, like, you're not writing any tests
for external libraries.
Yeah,
you
true.
assume they work.
Yeah.
So in our case, there is no point to write tests for external provider, because what will we do? Like, expect some type of response? What amount of things should we test? How often should we test? So at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out the most common scenarios, test if the answers are okay for us,
if they make sense in general, right?
Yeah, okay. And then just release it and hope that people will inform us that something's not right.
Okay.
Because it's like there's only so many things we could test. Response time, response quality, which is also it's not what's the word, objective.
Oh yeah.
It's not objective. Like, for me, this might be, oh, that's a great response. Like, she told me that she doesn't know. And for somebody, it might be for the same question. Oh, she told me she doesn't know. Like, why didn't she respond?
Is she stupid or something?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't know. Like,
Maybe.
Would you prefer for her to lie?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
okay. So if somebody like issues that, hey, Cassandra is talking bullshit, and you are like, okay, let me check that. What can you actually do about it? Because, in my head, after your descriptions, like, you do all the like formatting, performance stuff. Let's talk about that later. But now, me as a user, I write the prompt. The prompt it's taken by Cassandra. It's asking ChatGPT like, hey, I don't know. Here's the context. Here's the question. You get the answer. What else can you, as a developer of Cassandra, do to make these answers more precise or better in general? Because this is very, very interesting. How do debug wrong answers to make them right?
Usually, it lands on the system prompt. System prompt and temperature. So temperature is just how often does the model take lesser, like words with lesser probability to use. Basically, it's like the spark of creativity. Some call it hallucinations and they are discouraged and they hate it.
Okay.
There are some researchers that say that it's actually very beneficial because you can ask some, standard questions, and because of hallucinations, AI can give you a like super crazy point of view, which is also kind of interesting. It's because AI, unless you tell it, it doesn't believe it's wrong at any point. So if for some reason there will be like very weird third word, it will try to somehow connect other words so it will make sense, right? Sorry, I kind of drove off into how you can
tune the answers.
Yes, how usually it's just system prompt. So it's like asking and begging, please do not lie. If you don't know the answer, say you don't know the answer.
Do you add this stuff to the prompt?
Yes. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure if you ever checked the system prompt from ChatGPT, like just the ChatGPT.
Not really.
It's like 1 page long.
And then there's your prompt.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. So like every time there's this huge prompt, it's basically saying like, if you don't know, say you don't know. People know that you are an AI assistant. You don't need to remind them every time because it's annoying.
Yeah.
You don't need to be concise. Don't write a whole paragraph to just respond on one question. And there are a lot of guidelines. And it sounds funny to us.
I'm laughing because it sounds like, asking a question to a person with ADHD. Just give me the answer. Don't talk about your life
exactly,
story.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it might sound funny to us, but look at it from a perspective of someone who doesn't have a context.
Oh yeah.
Look at it from perspective of let's say we are learning English in school, right? So, like English you are learning in school, it's completely different from English you are using every day.
Yeah.
Like you don't say, hello, my name is, and then you go, right? So with more context, you learn to provide a better answer.
Yeah.
But language models don't have this initial context of what is expected from you. So the more precise you are with how you should behave, the better she will behave. Or sorry, I'm always saying she because I'm like,
Cassandra. Yeah.
I have Cassandra in mind, but
yeah.
And I'm not comfortable saying it as in language model.
You wouldn't call your baby it. It's either
exactly
it, he, or she.
I don't know. There were so many portrayals of AI being this woman voice that I always say she as in, she, the language model.
She, the language model.
Exactly. So, so we just need to provide more context. And with different versions, there were some quirks like, if you have a huge system prompt, then she might forget the things in the middle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she's just like me.
Kind of, yeah. So if you would put the most important parts at the beginning or at the end,
Mm-hmm.
or a couple of times, or you have to be as explicit as possible in what you expect from the language model.
Okay.
And that's what we would be doing, just trying and testing. And then with, sometimes it will work, sometimes it didn't. And then suddenly, oh, a new version, great. And it suddenly fixed a lot of things, but different things didn't work.
Yeah.
So it's very unpredictable. And we are trying to be at every step very open with everyone that, listen, guys, like there are just two of us. It's like me and Maciej, who is amazing in terms of quality, and he's just such a great person to work with.
Maciej was here, by the way, when we were talking about Reassure.
Yeah. So it's just two of us. We don't have, manpower to test everything and to quality check everything. So often it's just a guesswork.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's it just magically sometimes work, and that's, I don't know, just
it's for later to figure out why it did work, right?
kind of, yeah.
All right, awesome. So let's talk about money. So you mentioned that you didn't want to go and ask for 20K just for some hardware to run LLM. So after all, it's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And what's the pricing? What's the cost? So what else do you have to take into account?
Okay, so for whole company, we are paying for some Google Cloud functions.
Mm-hmm.
And we are mainly paying for them because we are keeping them in idle state constantly. And it's around, I don't know, $10. I'm not sure if the price we have is in like Polish zloty or in dollars.
Let's stick to dollars.
Let's say around $10.
Let's just
and 2 weeks ago,
mm-hmm.
we officially hit $100 for OpenAI.
Okay, for like $100 as a sum or by month?
As a sum.
Oh, really?
As a sum for all over half a year of having AI assistant.
That's cheap.
That's very cheap.
That's very cheap.
That's very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, because it's kind of funny, because almost every other month there was an announcement like, oh, now it's cheaper, and now it's faster, and now it's more powerful. So it's like getting cheaper and cheaper and better without us doing anything.
That's pretty awesome.
And we actually hit $100 because we pay $100 to like gas it up, to tank it up, right?
And then it's being used, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it took over half a year for it to run out. So it's extremely cheap for a whole company to use.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and in terms of like enterprise editions, I'm not sure what's the price range right now, and I don't want to be caught lying or spreading misinformation, but it would be much more than $100 a month.
But what would be the difference, like practical difference?
My guesswork is thousands each month.
Okay, but difference in like functionality. I mean, like what does it do in enterprise?
Shouldn't be any. There are a couple of.
So it's just about licensing, really.
There may be a couple of differences. It's really hard to say because with ChatGPT, like Enterprise Edition, first of all, there will be no integration with Slack, and that's another like problem issue, because once we released it, turned out that some people wanted a website, some people wanted to have a desktop app, some people wanted Slack, some people wanted just like everyone wanted something different.
Yeah,
this is one of sorry, I'm jumping from topic to topic. Let me go back to the pricing.
Okay.
So it will be much more expensive, and this is like the biggest thing we wanted to hit with Cassandra. We wanted to abstract as much as possible from the provider. So if at any point there would be an information that, oh, ChatGPT is now super expensive and super not secure, then we would just spend a day re-implementing just this tiny part of logic that is sending requests, and everything else would still work. So yeah, we wanted to achieve that, and I think we did, which I'm very proud of. And so we avoided vendor lock-in. There are a couple of features that we didn't implement, like there will be image generation, apparently bigger security, ability to train your own models.
Okay,
A couple of different features, but I don't know. I really think that we saved huge amount of money without losing this much functionality.
Awesome. So without just jumping into details, we can say that just this standard version is enough for our use cases.
And also one very important thing. With our model, with what we built, we pay for what we use. If you ask something, then we pay something for answering this question. But with this enterprise version, you pay for each employee every month for license.
Okay. And they might even use it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know if it made sense for us, and it still does.
When you said that you pay basically for every question, I immediately had this, so I should avoid asking stupid questions this time.
This was one of our concerns.
Yeah, that people will just spam.
Like one of the things we didn't consider and kind of surprised us, I don't know why, because it makes sense. When you write on ChatGPT, with ChatGPT, OpenAI have internally all of your questions, right? The whole context, the whole chat. With Cassandra, like if you say hi, she responds with hi. That's 2 messages. If you say, how are you doing? And she responds with, I'm doing well, thanks. You would like to say, that's another 2 messages.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's 3 messages of input, like thread, the history, and then 1 of output.
Okay.
So that's why when you look at the price ranges, usually the input tokens, or the input words, as you might say it, are less expensive than output, because input is basically parsing the thing she already got.
Okay.
So there are a lot of quirks with the pricing as well. Like we could get into it, but I assume we have more questions about other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, other stuff might be a little bit more interesting for our viewers or listeners, but this is also interesting because like this costs hacking and stuff like that. This is always interesting from like a startup point of view. Like, how can we make this work but not bankrupt? So maybe one day we can come back to this topic as a separate discussion. All right, so you were talking about integration with Slack, and I remember like a couple of times I came to the office and I saw you sitting by your desk and being furious on Slack and be like, why is this working the way it's working? So what is so wrong about Slack, or maybe what is so good about Slack when it comes to this kind of integration?
I both like and hate Slack. I like it because it's a very good communication app. Very good. Yeah. But once you try working with API, it's getting very frustrating. And my biggest point is their documentation. It's so hard to find anything.
You mean because of the way it's constructed, or is just lacking information?
The way it's constructed.
Okay.
It's such a messy documentation. I sometimes spend hours trying to, like, a couple of times we were talking with Martin and I said, I found it in documentation. Let me just quickly find it and send you. And I spent an hour going through documentation and then finding the part I was looking for in the least expected place. Like, one of my biggest problems was how many characters can we send in a message?
Sounds very basic, doesn't it?
Very basic. One place writes 3,000, second place 4,000, and everywhere they are bragging about 40,000 characters. So which one is it?
Make your mind.
Use.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, now finally we finished this, and we will be releasing that as an open source project for everyone to use. Ability to parse Markdown into this specific magical format called Slack blocks. Because turns out that if you send text, you're actually limited to a text message that is being parsed by Slack, but to 4,000 characters. It's very little.
Yeah.
Very little. And with Slack blocks, you can go to 40,000 without losing actually any quality in terms of how it's displayed. So we spend a lot of time implementing that to be able to parse from Slack blocks to Markdown and from Markdown to Slack blocks to make it more fluid, faster. And currently our company is using this way of parsing messages. And the quality improved, how the message is displayed improved. And we got rid of a problem that sometimes suddenly Cassandra stopped responding.
Yeah,
because she ran out of the characters to send,
and you would have to ask her, "Can you continue?" And she would like, "Yeah."
I bet you run into this issue as well. So we finally got rid of this problem because there was this limit. We couldn't do anything about it. So we finally found a solution. We knew about the solution for quite a while, but implementing custom parsing for messaging from Markdown, it was a very painful and annoying process, writing tests for it, figuring out cases, and
it's always fun to watch person watching on such issues from the side.
Yeah.
And I was the guy watching you doing that. And that was very hilarious. So definitely.
Yeah, I was furious so many times. And not on Slack, on just like parsing from one format to another.
You just hated the idea.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it paid off. We have a really nicely formatted messages without any like text limit, and everything works. So we will be trying to wrap it up and release it as an open source project for everyone to use. If you are using Slack and you have problems with amount of text you can send in your chatbot,
so giving back to the community.
Yeah,
that's
we're
awesome.
trying to.
So Kevin lost his hair, so you don't have to anymore. Nah,
they don't know.
Yeah, that's the misery now. People will be like, "Oh, did he? Or did he not?"
They have no idea. They will not know.
But I'm pretty sure
very luscious hair.
I'm pretty sure people can find out because, and now I think we didn't plan it, but because you are starting your speech giving tour. You will be on conferences and stuff. You'll be talking about AI.
We'll be on 2 conferences in December in Warsaw. We have prepared a lot of we have a huge speech about Cassandra as a the case study scenario. So on those conferences, it will be more concise, faster presented without any
without me on the side,
without sidetracks and everything. So we hope that it will provide a lot of value. And if you'd like to start your own chatbot or anything like this, we would like to help you figure out how to do it faster, better, because, and there are 2 points I want to hit on the head very hard. First, writing a chatbot for yourself is completely different than writing a chatbot for entire company. Starting from like security differences, from like who has access to what, implementing different features, providing accessibility for everyone. It's such a different beast that I could be all of the features we have in CAS currently, I would be able to implement for my own chatbot like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone heard the snap, but it was like that. But once you understand that there are so many limitations, when you look at the bigger scale of the chatbot, it changes the game completely.
But I think you can. I mean, obviously, this is a totally new experience for you, so you're kind of excited about this as well. But I wanted to say that you could probably say this about most of the projects that you're working on or doing. Like if you do it personally, it's always different, right? You don't care about so much stuff when you do that, or you care about other stuff that normally you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then you go enterprise and it's completely different story. All of a sudden you don't think about architecture, you think about how to convince my manager that this is a good idea.
Exactly. But it's kind of with everything, every solution for ecological stuff. Even if it's great, once you scale up your solution, it might break the world once again, and we create more problems than we solved. And here it's the same. The bigger the scale, the more the problems that we didn't even think about. But the second thing I wanted to mention is that past couple of weeks, or even over a month, I don't know, quite a long time now, we are working on taking all of the knowledge we gathered, implementing Cassandra, and taking all of the information we figured out, and the flows and everything, and separating it into its own framework for people to be able to kind of like npm init or any other inits to init the project. We want to end up with like Cassandra init or any other assistant init, and it will basically set up nicely working assistant for you to work with. Either you're working with Slack or Discord, or we are working now on supporting more and more communicators. So
have you thought about like legal stuff already regarding this as well?
What do you mean?
Because I can imagine that if we are setting up chatbot here, like in Callstack, and we control everything around it, then, well, we care about the data that it's taking in.
We are separating two things, because what we are trying to do is trying to set up this framework, make it open source for everyone to use, along with Terraform to set up the architecture and everything. And we are currently in a situation that we are separating this as a framework and using this framework to set up our own Cassandra.
Okay.
So last week we deployed it for like internally. So now we are running on this framework, and we know it works.
New architecture.
Exactly, new architecture. So we know it works, and now we are just trying to figure out the details and make it as approachable and customizable for everyone to use. So the ideal would be for anyone to just pick up this framework, implement a couple of plugins to handle messages differently, and voila, they are able to quickly iterate over new features and implement it in their own company.
Pretty awesome.
We are working hard on that, and we are trying to make it as good as possible. So it's not released yet, it's not open source yet, but we're working hard on implementing that and making it work nicely and be flexible and fast to work with, fast to iterate over new things to implement. And we'll be releasing it soon, very soon. You can follow Maciej on Twitter, because he's tweeting a lot about it, and there are a lot of information. So if you're excited about it, go follow him to find more.
Awesome. All right. Since we need to start wrapping up, I would like to ask you one last question that is, less technical, but very interesting. I'm really curious about the use cases that we have, that maybe you observed at Callstack, like what people use this chatbot the most for, or maybe what's the worst use case as well.
Okay, so it's a very complex question, because one thing, the weirdest thing we learned from working on this project is that all of our assumptions were wrong. Our every assumption about our users was incorrect. We were thinking, people will be so excited, like we will be not able to handle all of those requests, it will be so good. But at the beginning, people were scared to use it. Like, is it secure? Will I break anything? How expensive it is? Can I really? So many problems users had with using it. So we're trying to go very heavy at, teaching users how to use AI. And use cases ranged from, here is a code snippet, give me
format it or whatever.
Format it, or
give me unit tests.
Give me unit tests, explain it for me. Sometimes like random questions, completely random questions, unrelated to company. Sometimes company-related questions, like where does this person work, or what are the salary ranges for this and that position. So mostly that, like formatting some Twitter messages or very, very simple stuff. And the biggest problem is that for quite some time, we didn't run a new survey to ask people how they use Cassandra. And as a policy, we don't look into people's messages, because one of the most important thing we wanted to make sure is that we will not break trust from even from our internal users. Like, we know we work for the same company, but we do not have we need admin acceptance to look at any message, and we don't use it because it's your own business. And we really try to heavily push this narrative of, we don't know what you talk about with Cass. We're not interested. It's your own. Like, if you talk about personal stuff, if you ask her to help you, figure out a new business model or whatever, it's your, we use it internally, but you can use it for personal stuff. And we don't, look at your hands, what you write, when you write, how you write.
Okay. Why not cipher these messages when they are stuck in database?
What do you mean cipher?
To hash them or whatever, so they're not human readable, really.
It's because we still need to be able to read them if it's
to
necessary.
debug it and stuff. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. We usually, if there are some things, we don't just go into database and see what people wrote. We explicitly ask the person, like, what did you write? Can you please send me what you wrote? Because we don't abuse this, power. We can check it, but we don't. It's not only about security. It's about people trusting that they can use the chatbot safely.
Yeah.
Right? So,
it makes sense, right? You are still in this development phase. You still want to have this possibility.
Yeah.
And I think the best phrase to wrap up what you've just said is, with great power
comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
But, it's that's one of my biggest pet peeves of current AI state. We don't need more powerful, faster, and less expensive models. We need more users' education.
Exactly.
We need to show people how to use these models. I'm so tired of people being like, oh, this AI and LLMs will take away our humanity. Our creativity will be lost because of them. And then people sit down in front of the computer, write my thesis for me. No, it's not taking your humanity away from you. You are giving it away.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to write your own stuff, create your own stuff, and then make AI check it for you, rephrase it for you, help you, co-work with you.
Exactly.
Not the other way, not make AI write stuff for you, doing everything for you, and then you are just checking and double checking if it's right.
Exactly.
People need more education on how to use them safely, securely, and according to their own creativity and ethics and everything. Not more powerful and better models.
Boom. And with these words of wisdom, we shall be wrapping it up. Kevin?
Sorry for
Don't be sorry. I would love to stay longer. But yeah, basically we live in the age of information. So get informated, guys. Let's get educated.
Informed.
Yeah. I said informated. So I'm gonna go
get informated.
I'm gonna go and get informated.
I got so hyped over this topic.
When you get excited about something, this is what happens. So thank you very much, guys. If you'd like to follow the journey of Kewin and his Cassandra and other stuff that he's doing, we're gonna drop your Twitter handles in the description.
But for now, I don't really post that often. I'm scared of social media.
Maybe after this episode, you'll get a bump of 5,000 followers. You're like, oh my god!
I don't know. I'm scared of social media.
So you stick with AI then?
Yeah, I would like to say that. For now, I don't post because I have this imposter syndrome. But maybe at some point I will fall into God complex.
Okay, after those conferences.
Maybe. So give me a follow now, so you won't miss the moment where I will fall into God complex, and just so you can squish down my temper.
That's a great cliffhanger.
Yeah, keep me in check.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. If you got any questions to Kewin, you can drop a comment or you can ask on his Twitter. And with this, I would like to thank you very much. Remember, guys, there is a very important thing. We got a survey. If you want to make this better, you got to answer, and we will very much appreciate maybe with some goodies. I don't know. We'll see. So chocolate. Thank you, Kevin, for being my guest.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun.
It was super fun.
Thank you for having me.
See you guys.
Thank you all for listening. And yeah, to what he said.
See you guys.
Bye.